It's war. That's how the Canadian Vaping Association characterizes the state of affairs following the Ontario Liberal government's introduction of Bill 174, which is bombshell legislation that the CVA says would destroy the vaping industry and discourage thousands of smokers from trying to quit. Touted as Ontario's new Cannabis Act, Bill 174 is omnibus legislation that wraps tobacco, cannabis, and vaping together into a single law, thus limiting consultation and handcuffing opposition to individual sections of the bill. It's a tactic deployed to ram through legislation, which the Ontario Liberal government intends to do in a vote early December. As RegWatch reported in February 2016, Premier Wynne made a commitment to fairness, stating that the rules will apply equally to marijuana and vaping as they do to cigarettes. But the new rules governing vaping under Bill 174 are much harsher than those proposed for the new recreational cannabis industry. So harsh, in fact, the proposed restrictions on the sale of vaping products drip with contempt and show utter disdain for the consumer that relies on vaping as a safer alternative to smoking. Under the proposed legislation, all flavors and e-liquid would be banned for sale in the province, thus eviscerating the enjoyment behind what makes vaping the most popular and successful way to quit smoking. Under Bill 174, retailers would also be prohibited from promoting products for sale in their own store, meaning no pictures, posters, brochures, or display of any kind. Retailers would also be prohibited from demonstrating how to safely operate and maintain the products for sale in their stores. So contemptuous are the proposed regulations that, quote, "No person shall, in any place where vapor products are sold, display products in any manner that would permit a consumer to view or handle the product before purchasing it." If this sounds draconian, that's because it is, and it would require vape shop owners to turn their stores into a giant black box.
Unfortunately, right now, due to the way the bill is going to be passed, as it stands, once the bill is passed, I won't be able to help you, talk to you, or let you know anything. So the way the Ontario legislature is written right now, you won't be able to display anything, you won't be able to buy your nice fancy cookie flavored juices, you will be stuck with flavorless.
If you're taking it away completely, flavors and everything, that's honestly uncalled for. Yeah. Because some people actually use it to wean off, and then they get down and they're just on 0 milligram. And then all they do it for the flavor. What else are they doing it for? If you give them flavorless and it's 0 milligram, what the hell's the point of, like, you know what I mean? You might as well go back to cigarettes then. It's horrible.
Joining us today to discuss the impact of Bill 174 is Boris Giller from the Canadian Vaping Association. Giller is a longtime vaping advocate in Ontario, where he is also the CEO of 180 Smoke, a popular vape retail chain that he co-founded with well-known heart surgeon Dr. Gopal Bhatnagar, who was featured in an episode of the CBC's Fifth Estate on vaping last fall. Boris, thanks for coming on the show. Before we start, I'd like to remind our viewers that RegWatch is industry supported, and both CVA and 180 Smoke are supporters of RegWatch, and that RegWatch maintains 100% editorial control over its content. So Boris, from the Canadian Vaping Association's point of view, what do you believe is going on with Bill 174 and the Ontario government?
Well, we're extremely disappointed with Bill 174. It came out of nowhere. We were not consulted. And if it passes in its current format, it will essentially destroy the vaping industry and hurt over 900,000 vapors in Ontario, vapors who vote. And so we believe this is a very lazy approach to legislation. It looks like they've copy-pasted Bill 45, the worst part of it, and added a ban on flavors, which completely doesn't make sense. It's the only province in Canada that's proposing a ban on flavors. No other province has. Neither did the federal government. I mean, they found a middle ground. And
Boris, that middle ground is the partial restriction on the marketing and labeling of certain flavors, but there is no ban in the federal regulations.
Bill S5, you know, it has its issues, but it's somewhat of a balanced bill. They are making a clear attempt at balancing access, proper access to adult smokers versus limiting access to youth, whereas the Ontario bill has none of that, and it will destroy the e-juice manufacturing sector of the industry and will severely harm the retail sector. sector of the industry. And this is just talking about the industry. The impact on consumers is also immense.
Boris, how would the consumer be affected under Bill 174?
While it may seem trivial to somebody who's not aware or is not involved in the vaping industry, detailing a customer and allowing them to select the right product for them out of thousands of options, and allowing the vape shop employee to guide them on how to use it, and letting them even find the right flavor can make a huge difference whether they take on this new alternative or not. Like, a smoker needs the slightest excuse to go back and buy a pack of cigarettes. Like, they're available at every corner. So if they don't get the right flavor that feels better than tobacco for them, they will naturally gravitate away from that. Nicotine level, if it's too much, it'll burn the throat. It'll be very harsh. If it's too little, it's not enough. And then again, they will be drawn to tobacco. So finding that sweet spot is extremely critical to successfully converting a smoker into vaping.
Boris, do you think the whole point behind the bill is to throw up roadblocks to vaping?
It seems like this bill, at several points of the interaction with a customer, it seems like it's designed to sabotage converting adult smokers into a safer alternative. We will not accept the bill in its current format. We will fight it before it becomes law, and if it does become law, we will escalate our fight and take whatever actions necessary.
Boris, while I'm sure that's a welcome message to many vapors, there are those in the industry skeptical of CVA rallying cries to fight.
Well, in the past, we've had a lot of pushback from members that they were not very thrilled with the CVA not taking an adversarial approach with the federal government pertaining to Bill S5, or not taking an activist role. And so we've lost a lot of members. There's concrete action that we can take, right? I mean, the CVA right now needs a lot of support from its members. If you're in the industry and you're not a member of the CVA, I mean, I don't know what the hell you're doing. You need to join immediately, because we're about to go to war over this bill. And we need all the help that we can get. So we can organize rallies. I mean, we can grab them right by the boats. We have 900,000 vapors in Ontario, almost 1 million. That's a lot. That's a lot. Some writings have been won by a lot less than that, and we have more angry vapor signatures who vote based on this one issue alone. So I don't really know what the Liberal government is thinking. If they're not willing to work with us on achieving equitable and reasonable regulations, we have plans in place and action that we can each take, not only as an association and members that can join the association, but also as activists, as constituents. We can write letters to our MPs, we can take concrete actions.
Boris, you mentioned rallies. The Vapor Advocates of Ontario is holding a massive demonstration at Queen's Park in downtown Toronto this Saturday, November 25th. The CVA is involved, supporting the event, and RegWatch will be there. We'll have full coverage from the rally and much more on Bill 174 when we get back to Vancouver next week. Boris, final question. What concerns you the most about Ontario's approach to vaping regulation?
As you know, a lot of smokers die every day, and while we're deliberating and messing around and misinforming smokers about the potentials of vaping, there's actual lives at stake. Actual people are dying, and while they're sitting in the ivory tower, saying that nobody should smoke, nobody should be addicted to anything. Well, okay, in an ideal world, not, but people are addicted to stuff and they need assistance. Simply demonizing smokers and telling them bad doesn't work. Every single smoker that smokes till this day knows that smoking is bad for them, and yet they continue because it is a very strong it is a very strong addiction. And so we need to assist and help smokers. And one of the best things out there that came out was vaping. Like, it overtook. It's the most popular method of quitting smoking, despite the fact that it's not officially a way to quit smoking.
Well, that's it for this edition of RegWatch. Before you head off, please like us on Facebook and don't forget to follow us on Twitter. For RegulatorWatch.com, I'm Brent Stafford.